Hello, everyone. Welcome to Development Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, coming to you from the Ventura Cigar Company studio. With me today is Jiunn, Seth Geis, John McTavish. How you guys doing?
Good.
Habanos time. Woo-woo-woo.
So today we are talking about the Saint Luis Rey 2016 Edición Regional Cuba Marquéz. It's kind of
What a name.
Yeah. It's kind of a Toro Extra, 5.9 inches by 54 ring gauge. Everything's Cuba on this one. The factory code was SGA. The release date or the box code was December 16. So with that out of the way, June, what was your smoking experience like?
I like the cigar. I got just a lot of honey, toffee notes, light cedar. Kind of getting to a little bit more. Some baking spices started showing up. When I retrohaled the cigar, I got even more the honey notes and the cedar. A little bit of black pepper spice on the back end. Finish pretty short, but like any good Cuban cigar should be, the finish is very clean. So clean in the sense of like it doesn't leave like a layer of like anything on your palate. Like it's almost like you could smoke a good Cuban cigar and afterwards you have the palate to like do anything else. And lingering soft cedar as well. Strength and body being medium. So that was pretty much the entire cigar, other than that final third, kind of as expected. Towards kind of like that middle of that final third, the profile kind of fell apart, and like I could tell that there's that hint of youth coming through. There's some of that harshness. So just hopefully with time that'll even it out. In terms of construction, for everybody that bitches about how bad Cubans draw and burn, well, fuck you. This one didn't. Per performance, very good. Only negatives were fairly. There was a couple of touch-ups that I had to do, but other than that, it was great. And I thought the draw was actually absolutely perfect.
All right, Seth, how about you? What was your smoking experience like?
Yeah, first third. Well, let me begin. First third, like after I lit it, this thing just like the wrapper just cracked, huge crack.
Yeah, very fragile wrapper on these. I thought.
But surprisingly, even with it, it actually still smoked all right. But anyways, in terms of flavors, sweet spices. There was some soft cream. I was getting some salted wood, and there's this slight bit of stone fruit in the first third. Just a medium cigar in terms of body and strength. Just I think it's classic Habanos, just balanced, flavor focused. Again, to the second third, I'm finding some cream and soft earth notes remaining. The stone fruit's kind of taking a more prominent role, and there's some hay qualities present. So there's like this barnyard quality. The wrapper's no longer an issue anymore, but still the cigar's construction's smoking great. Medium strength and body. And then when I get into the final third, mine, I mean, it was still youth, but showed a lot of promise, and there's some herbal and cream qualities present. Stone fruit, barnyard, soft spices right at the end. It's more of a medium full finish. Still, the construction draw was just absolutely perfect. What about you, Johnny?
Apparently, I gave away the good ones. I reviewed 2 cigars for this because the first one had just subpar burning construction. So, in all due fairness, and since I have several boxes of these because I'm a sucker for regionals, I smoked another one. So these notes represent the sort of flavors across both, which was actually pretty consistent. First third being sort of sweet tobacco and immediately that Cuban-esque profile that no one can reproduce, even though they claim they can. There's some minerality around the edges of the flavor profile, which was interesting. A little light plus leather. When the cigar settled in, a little honey sweetness, some nice clover rounding out that minerality, a little bit of chocolate on the retrohale. And then the sweetness kind of carried the profile and intensified through the first third. I would say the pepper fell off about halfway through. And maybe if on the second cigar I got a little bit of hay and red pepper flake at the back of my throat, but overall the cigars are very consistent. Middle third kind of fell off for me. Hay kind of carried the profile with maybe a little light nuttiness and minerality, some milk chocolate as a background note, but really not a lot on the profile to carry it. Cedar kind of transitioning from the middle third to the last third. And then in the last third, there was kind of a harsh burn quality to it, going into like a harshness to it. I purged it, and that char kind of fell off, and then replaced with light sweetness and nuttiness. But again, not a lot going on in the flavor profile in terms of complexity. So as I mentioned, I had burn and construction issues with one of them, so I rated it subpar. The first one required 3 relights and 3 touch-ups. The second one was, I think, just 3 touch-ups, so not that big of a deal. So I rated the burn and construction as average across both samples. In terms of draw, it was actually pretty resistant. So I'm surprised that Jiunn got the good one out of the box. One of them was 2 notches into resistant. One of them was 2.5 notches into resistant. So I averaged that out as a good, because that's about right for a good rating. After that, Aaron, what was your experience on the Saint Luis Rey?
Yeah, for me, it started with cedar, a light mustiness, some mild levels of salt and black pepper. About a half inch in, that mustiness increases, becomes even with the cedar. Salt and pepper still in the background. Profile's a little bit drying. Retro Hell has the black pepper up front, a slight zing, and a little musty cedar right behind that. A little further in, mustiness drops back, allows the cedar to take front stage again. A little bit of nuttiness joins the profile. Then about an inch and a half in, cedar is now just a general wood note. And then as the third's wrapping up, the mustiness becomes even with the wood. Salt and black pepper remain in the background. Strength is slightly below medium. Getting into the second third, wood gains a little bit of char as the mustiness is right behind it. Still a little bit of some salt present in the black pepper, but the pepper has a really long finish to it. Half inch in, char increases, kind of the dominant note in the profile. About an inch in, profile is really just charred wood and mustiness. Retro Hell carries the same profile, and strength bumps up to medium. Final third continues on with that profile, charred wood, mustiness. About a quarter inch in, a little bit of vegetal note joins the profile. At an inch in, vegetal note is really light, charred wood, mustiness up front. Retro Hell is just musty wood. It starts to heat up as it wraps up, brings a little bit of mintiness to the profile. Strength stays at that medium level. In regards to the burn, it was a bit wavy throughout. 2 touch-ups, 1 relight, both required in the second third. Ash held on about 1.25 inch increments. In regards to the draw, it was just a little tighter than I prefer, but no real issue there. So overall, what were your thoughts, Jiunn?
Overall, I thought it was good. I think that, to qualify for just a good Cuban cigar and not, regional limited edition, etc. It has to have very clean profile, clean finish, clean flavors. Flavors that, sometimes you smoke a cigar and the flavors doesn't even make it seem like you're smoking a cigar. So especially with this, like the amount of honey toffee that I got out of it, sometimes it really made it seem like I was enjoying the real things. And I really love that about cigars in general. And the cleanliness of it. If you want to know what I mean by that, I don't know. Go smoke a good Connecticut broadleaf, like perhaps by like Nick Malillo or like Saka, and then smoke this thing. Like it's worlds apart. So even though they're all good cigars, yeah. I mean, the thing that still kind of I gripe about is, being into like Cuban cigars for probably 8-9 years. I still don't. I think these regionals overall. I mean, I know, John, this is kind of different because you're in Cuba grabbing these and they're at the right pricing. But in general, regional cigars, I feel like they promise so much more than what they actually deliver as. Most of the time, regionals are not better than any good aged regular production Cuban cigars out there. And that's incredibly disappointing, especially when you have something that's regional Cuba that a lot of, Chinese go nowadays and just grab the whole fucking stock at a shop, at multiple shops, and they'll just go and they'll, turn around, they'll flip it, which really pisses me off. But, I'm not okay. This isn't like this continuously proves to me that the regional hype is not there. Anyways, I'm done.
All right, Seth, overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought this cigar showed the greatness of the regional program for Habanos. No.
What the fuck? Oh, okay.
No, I mean, it's just, yeah, listen, it's a really good cigar. I really enjoyed the flavor profiles it had. I don't think it lines up with regular production Saint Luis Rey's. Like the Corona Gordas, was it Syria? I think Syria Corona Gordas for the Saint Luis Rey are just really enjoyable. Those are like some of my favorites. But this is different. And it's one of these things that it's kind of a unique size. So it's just kind of, I think you just kind of have to like appreciate the regional program for just knowing that it's not going to be better or worse than, well, sometimes it's going to be worse than like the regular production items, but it's just a cool new size. And so you just kind of roll with it in my sense. But yeah, I enjoy the stick.
All right, John.
My experience was pretty average overall. And I'd echo a lot of what the guys are saying about the regional program. I think, there's a lot of hype attached to adding that secondary band, and there's a lot of hype, especially making it a regional Cuba, which are always the most sought after. And Jiunn is correct. I've had to throw more than a few elbows from guys from Hong Kong who are trying to snap up all the 10 count regional boxes. Fortunately, I'm scrappy, so I get what I can get.
Hit 'em in the nuts.
Hey?
Huh? Nothing.
Yeah, that's right. But it makes me wonder, like, who is sampling these things? I know they've got good palettes. I know they've got good blenders. So who's sampling this before it hits the market? Because no one in the right mind would say, this is what is a good representation of Saint Luis Rey as a marca, because it's not. It departs substantially from the majority of their flavor profile. And then you say, okay, well, maybe we're making something special for the Limitado releases. Well, okay, but you're not. Like, this is not in any way, shape, or form a good representation of what a good Cuba regional should be. So to me, that's a bit of a letdown. I mean, the only positive here is that I was able to pick these up at the Cuba regional prices instead of secondary market prices. Otherwise, I'd be a cranky guy. Aaron, what was your overall experience?
I'm on par with you, John. I thought this was a very average Cuban cigar. I mean, it started out with some of those nice Cuban characteristics, cedar and salt, but that didn't last very long. And then, kind of from the middle of the first third going on, it was average and below average. If that start had gone longer, we'd be talking about a very different cigar. But it's a pass for me. I'd prefer regular production. I didn't think this offered anything special. For anybody watching this, that you are like just diving into the whole Cuba thing, don't chase anything with the second band from Cuba. Just stay regular production. You'll be much
unless
happier.
If you want to care about max profits.
Well, then yeah,
max flipping.
Max flipping.
Every once in a while, you find a really good regional though.
Every once in a
it's
while,
not worth the chase. It's not worth the price or the chase.
Yeah, overall, it's not.
You know what? Were you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say is, if you look at the program, saying, listen, okay, I'm understand that if I pick up this Bolivar or this Ramon Iones or the Saint Luis Rey, that it's not going to possibly taste more than likely like a typical Bolivar or whatever it is, and you like the size, then yeah, try it out. I mean, you may get a dud, but I mean, there's been plenty of. I found a lot of regionals from programs from certain countries that I've really enjoyed.
Canada.
Canada's had good ones.
Yeah.
Spain has had good ones.
Spain
I feel
has
like
had good ones.
the Netherlands
Germany.
have a good one. Germany's had a good. I mean, listen, I had a Peruvian Saint Luis Rey, which is absolute shit, and I'll review it and just kill it.
Screw you, Peru.
Yeah, I mean, fuck you, Peru.
Yeah, stick to coffee, motherfucker.
Yeah, stick to the Andes and your fucking llamas and your alpacas and whatever the hell else you have. You guys can't even make wine. So it's just, yeah.
All right, so we have to get into the scores. And I want to say something before we get into the scores. Is I think that our scoring on this, I think, is a perfect representation of Cuban cigars. So with that said, we're going to start with the what embargo contingent at the top. So, Seth, you gave it an 8.13.
Oh, my God.
Jiunn gave it a 7.07.
You guys are
And as
crap.
bad as John thought this was, that he was not going to be number 3, he's number 3, 5.50. And I gave it a 5.30. So, Seth, 8.13. Go ahead.
You know, I think a part of this was I was so impressed that when I smoked this, and I sent you guys that photo of that wrapper just fucking coming apart, that it still smoked well. I'm like, holy crap, this thing corrected itself on its own. And yeah, listen, I gravitate towards the flavor profile of Habanos. You know, this isn't a typical Saint Luis Rey, but it's really enjoyable flavors that come out of Cuban tobacco. 8.13 is probably a little high. That's a good embargo rating, but
hey, brother, stay strong,
I'm
brother.
gonna defend it though.
Habanos, call me.
Yeah,
Call me.
but the other thing is, I've also looked at regionals as understanding that they're not going to always taste like the brand. And if you find a really good size and the blend works out well, it's just a really good cigar. And that's, at the end of the day, isn't that what we're looking at? Not the band, not the bands, 100%. The cigar.
Word.
All right, Jiunn, 7.07.
I just said it all, you know.
All right, John, 5.50.
Yep, this is exactly where it should be. It's not a bad cigar, but in terms of Cubans, I would rather pick up a regular production Saint Luis Rey. Even though, again, the price of this is actually pretty affordable because it's a Cuba regional. I would rather smoke a regular production Saint Luis Rey or pick up a different regional and not the ERDMs because I wasn't huge on those either. In fact, now that I think about it, most of the Cuba regionals have been pretty shitty. So that's yeah, maybe I got to stop buying those. But
I do get to go down there.
Yeah, but you know, people buy them because they go crazy over the Cuba regionals. So Loomis?
Yeah, 5.30. I'll say it. It's not a good cigar. I appreciate you sending them, John. I hope you can offload them. So,
anytime.
But yeah, I mean, it started off like a Cuban cigar, and then it just fell down. You know, I got that bad burn. I don't know. It's what it is from Cuba. You know, most of the stuff is like this. You get those, you know, the gems in the box and things like that. But I don't know, man. It's
now I did hear.
What do you mean most of the stuff is like this? What you saying? What you saying?
Aaron doesn't like Cuban
I would say like Añejado's project. It's garbage. Like,
well, yeah, but that's
what are they doing?
Oh, wait.
Hey!
We don't have a half an hour to go
don't-
off on Añejados.
Don't bring that into that because that kills all my arguments. Let me ask you this: if you had the option, we're going to go all around here. Aaron,
I'm never going to eat dinner.
Limited edition or regional edition? Which one are you picking up?
I would go limited if I'm going to go between the two of them.
Jiunn, limited edition or regional edition?
Was that for me?
Cuban stuff?
Jiunn, yeah.
Cuban stuff? Oh, yeah. Regional, absolutely.
John?
Regional, every day and twice on Sundays.
3 out of the 4 people. And Aaron fucking hates Cubans. So 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
college, popular, whatever, we got it.
I mean, like, we were talking a little bit about some, like, Canada to me is one of the countries with regional editions that would rank sort of top 3 consistently over history. That like the Canadian regionals have ranked in the 8 and above scoring over and over and over and over and over again, and there's only a few countries that do that. Unfortunately, with the limited releases and, you know, in this case the Cuba releases, which again, like I said, now that I think about, the last few have been quite lousy. It's just a crapshoot. And the Añejados program, that's not fair because that's
fair. We're just trying to put out really aged Cuban tobacco, but
it's not a representation of anything because even the biggest Cuba fanboys will say the Añejados program is garbage.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
Okay. You can't bring that up.
Redheaded stepchild.
All right, that's my trump card whenever I want to stop the conversation. All right, if you just catch this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us. Also, check out the full written review on the website, developingpalates.com. Follow us on the social media channels, and you can catch all of our review recaps by podcast. So iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you on the next one.
Saint Luis Rey.